fish was involved. You don't see something like that every day.
What do you want, you yokel? But make it quick.
Excuse me, I'm looking for a friend of mine. He's not from round here, but...
Let me guess. A dirty ruffian who ain't got a groschen to his name but acts like he owns the bloody place.
He was here then?
Aye, he was. He was larging it up good and proper, and then he found some lads who paid his bill, unfortunately.
What do you mean by that? Why unfortunately?
Because they're right ruffians who are always up to no good. But still, birds of a feather, eh? In the end, they left like best pals, but I got no idea where they went.
What's going on around here, innkeeper?
Vostatek, Lord von Berghoff's huntsman, is a regular here. He might have some work for you. He's got a cottage near Vidlark Pond. So if you know your way round the woods, you could go and offer him your help. But I hope he hasn't started drinking somewhere else. He's my best customer. One more thing. You're not going to believe this, but 2 local lads claim they found a water goblin's treasure.
You have a water goblin here?
It would be a wonder if we didn't, with all the ponds around. He's got a hut nearby. If you follow the right bank of the Rock Tower Pond, you'll find it hidden in the reeds.
Where did you say the water goblin's hut was?
If you follow the right bank of the Rock Tower Pond, you'll find it hidden in the reeds.
And what did they find there? Are you sure they didn't make it up?
I thought so too at first. They're foolish lads, so I wouldn't be surprised. But then they ordered wine and paid with silver. Their purse was jingling with groschen.
Would you happen to know where I could find these lads?
They often swim at the other side of the Rock Tower Pond. There's a pier there by the dam. That's their spot.
Any other news?
Recently, a bunch of charcoal burners who have their kilns on the hill above the Kerchak Pond came here to have a beer. I started talking to them and they told me they almost didn't make it.
Why?
They said a pack of wolves came after them.
Aren't wolves afraid of people?
That's what I thought too. It's strange.
Did they tell you where it happened?
In a gorge above the Rock Tower Pond. They noticed the wolves watching them from the rocks. If you climb up those rocks, you'll be able to see the whole pond from there.
Did they tell you how large the pack was?
They mentioned 3 wolves, but God knows if that's all of them.
Do you have any more news?
By the way, we've put together this wee fight club here. Would you like to try it?
That sounds good. What's it about?
It actually came about by chance when the miller Crazel and me bet on who has the stronger hired hands. Then other blokes from the village joined in, and it's become somewhat of a tradition. And that's pretty much everything.
Thanks, innkeeper. That sounds interesting. Tell me more about these fights of yours.
It's really quite simple. You bet some money and fight against 3 blokes in turn. Our first fighter is Hans, a local musician. He may not look like much, but he knows a few tricks. Then we have Bohunek here. He works with horses, so he has more than enough strength to spare. And then there's Fiala, a good bloke, but Dorothy, his wife, has forbidden him from fighting.
I'd expect from you once again. Oh, gentle knight, why linger?
What are you two talking about then?
A peasant like you would never understand.
Watch your mouth, you impudent dog.
Or what? You'll smear it with that excrement under your fingernails? But let's bicker no more, stranger. Perhaps you can be our judge. What's your name?
My name is Henry.
Then sit, noble Enrico, and give your verdict on our dispute.
Aye, don't be shy. Come and sit with us.
It's Henry. H-E-N... whatever.
Ah, any tanner or bathhouse boy could be called Henry. Enrico is nobilissimo.
Oh, for the love of God. Will you just tell me what you were discussing?
Ah, it's just that my dear friend George here is a vulgar louse who knows as much about the art of poetry as a baying donkey.
To tell the truth, my last encounter with verse didn't end all that well.
Really? Come on, let's discuss it over a beer.
Man to man, poet to poet.
Well, I wouldn't exactly say I was...
Sit.
So, are you going to tell me what you're talking about?
It's about nothing less than the very essence of the art of poetry.
And also about the fact that Michael here hasn't got his oats for ages and it's got his brain in a twist.
Kindly ignore our friend George here. He's been a simple soul ever since he was dropped on his head as a baby.
Freedom. I figured out poetry ain't to be found in inspiration from the muse. All the truth in the world is right there in ale, roast pig, and fucking.
To the point where fornication and drinking leave no time for actual composing. Better to forego the pleasures of the flesh and give oneself to art. Onorate l'altissima poeta.
Aye, aye. Keep your hair on, mate. As I said, he's not in his right mind. He once met an Italian poet, and ever since he thinks he's Dante Alighieri.
Alighieri, you dolt. So what do you think, Enrico? Where should a poet seek inspiration?
Why go looking for muses when the whole of God's green earth is filled with inspiration? Like George says, wine, women and song. That's the only poetry you need.
I told you so. Let's drink to that. However you look at it, you, my friend, as a worldly,
And highborn,
clever,
experienced,
intrepid,
unique.
in short, just the right fella.
You might be able to help us out with something.
What are you after?
Enrico, we are in need of an adventurer.
My name's Henry. H-E-N... something...
In short, Enrico, we're in need of an adventurer, a man of action, a man of goodwill, a man of knowledge, a man,
A fucking good fella.
a fellow who helps his fellow man, aspiring minstrels.
If only you knew, mate, what genius is sleeping in our throats. Songs just waiting for a voice to raise you to the heights of glory.
Imagine it, an ode to Henry, the hapless, hoe-wielding hero harassing the heartless hordes of
Humans?
That's it! Hark, Henry the Lionheart! The only thing missing for you to achieve glory is...
A loot! We need a loot!
All right, but where would I even get a thing like that?
In the words of the poet, una volta corre il cane, e una altra la lepre. He who seeks shall find, or something like that.
And finding it won't be hard. We've done a bit of snooping, and there's only one in these parts.
It's hanging all forlorn on a wall at the carpenter's in Troskowitz. The house directly opposite the Rathaus.
It ain't no use to him, but he won't sell it, the tight ass.
While if it were in our hands...
In our hands, it will sing like a nun on Sunday.
And it will be the torch lighting our way from this provincial purgatory to the gates of Kuttenberg.
Torch? Shit, you want to fucking burn it?
It's a metaphor, you ignorant oaf.
All right, I'll see what I can do. Please just quieten down for a bit.
No dobra. Trzeba zdobyć lutnię.
Aren't those dice sad?
No dobra, możemy pograć.
The Lord be with you. What do you need?
I have a bit of coin again, and I'd like to throw it around. Should we play dice?
What game would you like to play?
Let's play beggars.
And do you have enough money for it?
I reckon I don't.
No
I
to
actually
nie
don't want to
pokram.
play anything. See ya.
Dobra, z nimi gadałem.
Careful!
Tu też gadałem.
Blessings to you.
You look like you've seen better days, but don't worry. I can make your day better. And more than you know.
O nie, nie, nie kradnij, bo nas zaraz... Chyba nic nie kradniemy. Idziemy stąd. O, dawaj. Tu po schodach. No idź. O. Ej, zaciekaj. Pomóc? Nie chcę gadać. Ja bym chciał zobaczyć mapę. Pędzarnia, łaźnia. Jesteśmy tu. Ukradnij słup majowy. A, dobra. To tu. Tu bym musiał się dostać. Dobra.
Good day.
Dobra, dobra. gdzie jestem? Jestem tu. O, to w dobrym kierunku idę. Chwila. Ale to jest... kto? A, dobra. Kowal, czyli dobra. Czyli w dobrą stronę idziemy. Kuniem by było szybciej. Dobra, jak to wygląda? O, już blisko. Dobra. Co jest? Ktoś mnie... Ty, dziadu, jeden... o co ci chodzi? To byk jest. O. Uderzył mnie. O, to jest drugi byk. Idę, bo znowu mnie. Czyżby... był u Kowala? Jest, dobra. Mapa. No dobra, czyli prawie. Trzeba znaleźć Kowala, już go słychać.
Ave Maria.
Kowala słychać gdzieś. Jest. Znaleźliśmy go. Czyli to od niego trzeba ukraść ten słup majowy.
What a nice maypole. It'd be a shame if something...
What?
Nothing. Nothing. Really, very nice.
I'll say, the best in the country. Do you know why?
No?
Because it's the only one. We toppled the one in Zhelyov. They never saw it coming. Nobody gets the better of us. I don't think they're going to try anything after that beating anyway. Even if they do, Henrik will raise the alarm and we'll kick their asses again.
Dobra, jak ja w
What would you
sprawie...
like?
I heard you could use a helping hand at the forge.
I could. My last two hands, well, they're not worth mentioning. And what with the wedding coming up, the work is piling up. Ah, what do they call you?
Henry.
I'm Radovan. You should know, Henry. The blacksmithing isn't for everyone. Have you done it before?
Yeah. I basically grew up in the forge.
Przecież już
My
gadali
father
o
was a
tym, no.
swordsmith, and not just any. He even forged swords for the nobility.
For the nobility, eh? Well, that kind of experience will come in very handy for me indeed. As it happens, I have to forge a wedding present for young Lord Semine. A fine sword.
So you'll take me on?
Hold your horses. I'll have to try you out first. You could forge me a hunting sword as a test, so I can see if you can make a straight blade. That shouldn't give you much trouble if your father was a swordsmith, should it?
Sure thing. I can get started right away.
Great. Find some iron and get started then.
Iron?
You can't make a sword out of butter, but if you don't have your own stuff, you can get everything from the chest in my forge.
Okej. Skrzyni, co to jest? To jest tu.
Go over to the anvil and let's get started.
Otwórz. Zwykła stal. Dobra, jak to zrobić? Mhm.
Get to it. I want to see how you'll fare. Stop faffing about and get the things from the chest.
A, czyli wszystkie rzeczy ze skrzyni trzeba wziąć. Dobra.
Are you gonna get started then?
Mhm.
Then go over to the anvil and let's get started.
No dobra.
Are you gonna get started then?
No... Dobra, czekaj. Aha, rozpocznij.
Furnace is cold now. Give it a practice try. Some things, like swords, are too long to fit in the fire. You have to heat it up, bit by bit. Try poking it around for a bit. God's wounds, lad. What's wrong with you? You're standing there like a fence post. You've got to move it around. Back and forth. Well, give it a try so you get the hang of it.
No dobra, to mam.
Now get the furnace nice and hot. There's a lever above you. Give it a pull. It works the bellows. Tell the temperature by the color, but you won't be able to tell when it's in the fire. You have to take it out from time to time and take a look. Try it out.
Przytrzymując F możesz sprawdzić ostrze z bliska.
See? That's exactly the straw color we want. You've got talent, lad. Now heat up the whole thing.
Nie no.
The whole thing is heated up now, so come over to the anvil.
Naciśnij R, by podejść do kowadła. R.
Try moving the sword along the anvil so you can get the hang of it. Now take the hammer and try hitting it a few times. See the sparks? That's the sign of a good strike. The more sparks, the better.
Also, you can hammer with different degrees of power. A stronger hit will do more, but it'll tire you out faster. Try giving it a few blows, as hard as you can, so I can see how strong you are. What is it? You're not tired, are you? That's got a nice ring to it. Of course, if it was all about hitting an anvil with a hammer, any dolt could do it. You've got to hammer the workpiece evenly. One hit next to the other. Very nice. You're doing just fine. But when I say evenly, I mean it. A sword has two sides, like a lot of other things, including myself. Turn it over and continue on the other side.
Okej. Odwróć.
Nice. Now try forging it on both sides. The closer it is to being finished, the more it will take on the shape you want. It'll cool off soon anyway.
Im bliżej jesteś ukończenia pracy, tym bardziej wykuwany przez ciebie element przypomina gotowy przedmiot. Kuj dalej, aż się nie schłodzi. No, oj.
It's cooled now. You can't do it all in one go. You've got to put it back in the furnace from time to time. Sometimes you've got to go there and back all day. But it's all part of the craft. Now, get back to the forge and heat it all up again, like before.
Chyba jeszcze walnę parę razy. O! Teraz R.
Bloody hell. What's the hold up? I've shown you this part already. The whole thing is heated up now, so come over to the anvil. Hear that? Besides the sparks, you can tell a good strike by the sound it makes.
God grant you. Greetings.
The sparks are flying nicely. See how it's taking on the right shape? That's how you can tell it's almost finished. Now, I've got a piece of advice for you. Hammer to a rhythm. When I hammer a piece to a beat, the work goes by easier. Sometimes I'll whistle to myself to keep the rhythm going. There you go. You've got it finished. All that's left is to temper it, and the sword will be done. The rest is just tweaking. Right. Let's have a look.
No to zobacz.
Very nice work. Your father taught you the trade well.
He'd certainly be happy to hear that.
If If you carry on hammering as well as you did today, you've definitely got a job here. Even so, keep in mind, it's all about making sure every strike does its job. That's why you can't let it get cold, or keep striking the same spot. If you work evenly, each strike falling right next to the last one, you can't go wrong. Got that? Or is there something else you want to ask about?
What good does it do me to whistle while I work?
It makes you work to a rhythm. You won't get tired so quickly, and the iron feels it.
How do I know a good strike from a bad one?
By the sparks that fly up, and by the ring. It rings out with a different sound when you do it right.
No dobra.
What's the right way to heat up the workpiece?
Do it till it turns the color of straw. Ideally, the color should be the same everywhere, if your forging's going to be even. The main thing is, don't work it cold. You just ruin it. But don't overheat it either. As soon as sparks start to fly off it in the furnace, take it out.
Dobra.
Why should I forge evenly?
If you keep hammering the same spot, you'll never finish it. You'll just fuck it up. But jumping from one end to the other ain't a good idea neither. You'd end up working unevenly. The best thing to do is aim each strike next to the one before.
How will I know it's finished?
Notice the shape. The closer you are to finishing, the more precise the shape it will have.
Thanks. That's all I need to know.
You can sleep in the chamber by the woodshed. And there's a chest where you can keep your things. And of course, you can use the forge anytime you want. Any questions?
Where can I get materials?
You can buy some essentials from me. But if you want to make a fancy sword with lots of ornamentation, you'll have to look elsewhere. This is just a village, you know. And they can't afford it neither.
What can I do with the items I've forged?
Well, you can sell them, though you probably won't have much luck around here. But I'll happily buy some of the nicer things from you.
Where exactly is my bed?
At the side of the house, there are 2 doors and a wheelbarrow between them. You go in by the rear door, next to the woodshed, and you can put your things in the chest there. Don't worry, nobody'll steal them.
What now?
What do you think? You're not going to be idle. I'll find you some work to do right away. You're pretty good at swords, but what the locals really need is axes and horseshoes. Right, here are some simple drawings that show what they're both supposed to look like. And some iron. You can get down to it right away.
Just like that? You aren't going to help me?
Sacre, lad. I chose you because you already know a thing or two. I'm not going to look over your shoulder all bloody day. You take care of these smaller jobs. Forge away as long as you're able, and then sell it all. Once you've made some coin and feel like being out in the open again, I'll give you some more interesting work.
Okej. Masz własne łóżko. Największą zaletą własnego posłania jest to, że zawsze możesz się w nim przespać, a dodatkowo za każdym razem... O, nie zdążyłem przeczytać. Dobra. Okej, ale co mam wykuć? Nie, to nie. To już wykuliśmy. Nic nie ma. O nie, chcę wyjść, czekaj. Była tamta, to była żona.
Praise the Lord.
Okej, czy tu mogę spać? Raczej chyba nie. Nie, bo to włamanie jest, to nie. Kradnij, nie, nic nie będziemy kraść. Może tu? To chyba jest moje. Skrzynia. Dobra, tu można otworzyć. Aha, czyli to jest moje, dobra. Trzeba się trochę przespać. Niedużo. 5 godzin. Dobra, gra została zapisana. I mamy noc. Dobra, to chyba się jeszcze przyśpimy. Zamknij. Trzeba dobrze odpocząć. Dobra, teraz i mam problem z wychodzeniem. Dobra, tu, teraz zamknij. Dobra.
Greetings to you.
A, wzajemnie, wzajemnie. O, ten już kuje. Kurde, nic nie ma.
Fucking steel. Where I am. Liars. Good morning, lad.
I'd like you to teach me something.
Yeah, all right. But it will cost you. What do you want to know?
O, kasy chcę.
There's a couple more things I'd like to ask about smithing.
Ask away.
Czyli już nic nie można zapytać.
Thanks. That's all I need to know. I'm still not really sure of myself in the forge. Could you show me again how it's done?
Why not? Better to practice now than fuck up an order. Why don't you forge me another hunting sword? Have you got what you need?
Yeah, I have.
Let's see what you can do then.
No dobra. Czyli aha, dobra. Rozpocznij.
Furnace is cold now. Give it a practice try. Some things, like swords, are too long to fit in the fire. You have to heat it up bit by bit. Try poking it around for a bit. Now get the furnace nice and hot. There's a lever above you. Give it a pull. It works better. Tell the temperature by the color. You won't be able to tell when it's on fire. You have to take it out from time to time and take a look. Try it out. See? That's exactly the straw color we want. You've got talent, lad. Now heat up the whole thing. The whole thing is heated up now, so come over to the anvil. Try moving the sword along the anvil so you can get the hang of it.
Dobra.
Now take the hammer and try hitting it a few times. See the sparks? That's the sign of a good strike. The more sparks, the better. Also, you can hammer with different degrees of power. A stronger hit will do more, but it'll tire you out faster. Try giving it a few blows, as hard as you can, so I can see how strong you are. That's got a nice ring to it. Of course, if it was all about hitting an anvil with a hammer, any dolt could do it. You've got to hammer the workpiece evenly. One hit next to the other. Very nice. You're doing just fine. But when I say evenly, I mean it. A sword has two sides, like a lot of other things, including myself. Turn it over and continue on the other side. Nice. Now try forging it on both sides. The closer it is to being finished, the more it will take on the shape you want. It'll cool off soon anyway. It's cooled now. You can't do it all in one go. You've got to put it back in the furnace from time to time. Sometimes you've got to go there and back all day. But it's all part of the craft. Now, get back to the forge and heat it all up again, like before. Thing is heated up now, so come over to the anvil. Well struck. Sparks. See how it's taking on the right shape? That's how you can tell it's almost finished. Now, I've got a piece of advice for you. Hammer to a rhythm. When I hammer a piece to a beat, the work goes by easy. Sometimes, there you go. You've got it finished. All that's left is to temper it, and the sword will be done. The rest is just tweaking. It's about those two idiot hands of mine, Venser and Franzi. They drove off with a cart full of goods towards Semin, and they never came back.
Do you want me to find them?
Just so. But more importantly, I want to know where my cart ended up, and especially the cargo. Go to Semin and find out what the bloody hell happened.
Have you any idea which way they might have gone? I could have a look along the way. Maybe their cart broke down or something.
There's only one road to Semin that can take a cart. It leads from Takov to Troskovitz, and then to the south. But I've got a bad feeling they got up to no good in Semin.
Those two hands of yours, Venser and Franzi, what can you tell me about them?
Can't tell you much. They're wandering laborers. I don't think they wanted to stay here with me for long, but these days I can use all the help I can get.
Were they suspicious in any way?
No, they worked hard. They ain't no slackers. And I can't say that about everyone.
What was the cart carrying?
Bugger and bollocks. All sorts of stuff. I'd say Lord Semin wants to rearm his garrison with new equipment. There were some hunting swords, bastard swords, crossbow bolts. I also fixed the trigger on young Semin's crossbow. And some kitchen stuff. Sacks of charcoal, all sorts of things. There's a good month's work in that cartload.
All right, I'll get right on it then.
Go ahead. And if you find that pair of fools drunk, kick their asses for me.
Gladly. I'll kick some sobriety into them.
Ale to już zrobimy w kolejnym odcinku. W tym by było na tyle. Cześć.